From financial crises to shrinking populations, several European countries are on the edge of disaster. In 2024, the collapse of these nations is accelerating, and what was once stable is now crumbling. Stay with us as we uncover the harsh realities behind Europe's fastest-falling countries. This is a wake-up call you need to hear. Welcome to Watch the Globe, your go-to guide for uncovering the world's best-kept secrets. When we think of Europe, images of cobblestone streets, grand architecture, and a high quality of life come to mind. But today, several countries in Europe are facing existential challenges that threaten their very stability. From political instability and economic woes to dwindling populations and mass emigration, these nations are struggling to maintain their once thriving societies. Let's start with a country that has been making headlines for years due to its conflict and economic struggles: Ukraine. After years of conflict with Russia, Ukraine's economy and infrastructure are struggling to recover. The ongoing war in the eastern regions, particularly in Donetsk and Luhansk, has not only displaced millions of people, but also led to severe economic strain. According to recent reports, the Ukrainian economy shrank by over 30% in 2022 due to the invasion and continued warfare. Although the Ukrainian government has shown incredible resilience and managed to sustain its defense, the long-term effects of this war on the nation's infrastructure, population, and economy are immense. The war has devastated industries such as manufacturing, agriculture, and energy production. Ukraine was once the breadbasket of Europe, but with key agricultural regions turned into conflict zones, food production has plummeted, leading to shortages in the country and higher prices globally. International aid has provided relief, but it often isn't enough to cover the extensive damage. Corruption remains a significant issue as well, which only worsens the challenges of recovery. The combination of political instability, an unpredictable war, and widespread corruption makes Ukraine's road to recovery uncertain at best. Moreover, emigration is another factor contributing to the collapse. Millions of Ukrainians have fled the country, particularly the young and educated, creating a brain drain that could further hinder the country's future. These refugees have sought asylum in neighboring countries like Poland, Hungary, and beyond, and many may not return home even after the conflict ends, further exacerbating the demographic crisis. Can Ukraine recover from the impact of war, or will the conflict leave lasting scars on its future? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Next, we head to Italy, a country known for its art, culture, and history, but one that has been grappling with deep-rooted economic issues. Italy's political instability and economic troubles have been building for years. The country's public debt is staggering, standing at around 150% of GDP, one of the highest in Europe. This debt is not a new problem. Italy's economic growth has been stagnant for decades, leading to mounting debts that have been difficult to manage. Unemployment is another critical issue. While overall unemployment hovers around 8%, the youth unemployment rate is alarmingly high, currently sitting at over 25%. This has led to what many economists call a lost generation, where young Italians are unable to find jobs, pushing many to emigrate in search of better opportunities. This emigration is contributing to Italy's demographic crisis, as the country's birth rate has plummeted to one of the lowest in Europe, currently at just 1.24 children per woman. Italy's aging population, combined with fewer young people entering the workforce, is creating a significant strain on its pension and healthcare systems. Another problem is political instability. Italy has seen frequent changes in government, with more than 70 governments since World War II. Coalitions are often weak, and political parties rarely agree on how to address Italy's systemic problems. Populism has been on the rise, with parties on the far right and left gaining momentum, leading to an increasingly polarized political landscape. These challenges make Italy's future uncertain. Will the country be able to reverse its economic decline, or will it continue to lose its youth to other nations, leaving behind an aging and struggling population? Would you consider visiting or living in Italy despite its struggles, or do these issues make you think twice? Let us know in the comments below. Now let's turn our attention to Greece, a country that has been on the edge of economic collapse for more than a decade. Greece's economic crisis in 2008 shocked the world and led to severe austerity measures imposed by the European Union and the International Monetary Fund, IMF. While Greece has made progress since then, the country is still dealing with the fallout of that crisis. Greece's national debt is still one of the highest in the world, hovering at around 200% of GDP. Although Greece is no longer under the EU's financial bailout program, It continues to struggle with slow economic growth and high unemployment rates. The austerity measures imposed during the crisis have left many Greeks feeling abandoned by their government and the EU. Poverty levels remain high, and the healthcare and education systems, once robust, have been severely underfunded. The country's infrastructure is also aging, with little funding available for necessary repairs and upgrades. While tourism continues to be a lifeline for Greece's economy, it cannot compensate for the severe structural issues. The country faces significant demographic challenges, with one of the lowest birth rates in Europe, and much like Italy, many young people are leaving in search of better opportunities elsewhere. Protests and strikes have become a common occurrence in Greece, as citizens remain frustrated with low wages, high taxes, and a lack of job opportunities. The political landscape remains highly volatile, with populism on the rise, and the country's relationship with the EU is still strained. Can Greece bounce back from these challenges, or will it continue to struggle under the weight of its debt and political turmoil? Let us know your thoughts below. Another country in danger of collapse is Romania. Romania faces one of the fastest shrinking populations in Europe. The population has been shrinking by around 1% each year, and if current trends continue, Romania could lose 30% of its population by 2050. This is primarily due to a combination of low birth rates and high levels of emigration, particularly among the younger population. Romania's economy has grown significantly in the past decade, but much of that growth has been unevenly distributed. The gap between urban and rural areas is vast, with rural communities suffering from high levels of poverty, lack of infrastructure, and poor access to education and healthcare. Romania's healthcare system in particular is in a state of crisis, with chronic underfunding and a shortage of medical professionals due to the mass exodus of doctors and nurses seeking better pay abroad. Corruption also remains a serious issue in Romania, with many of its political leaders embroiled in scandals and accusations of fraud. This corruption is hindering efforts to improve the country's infrastructure and economy, leading to a widespread feeling of distrust in the government among Romanian citizens. Romania is a country rich in history and natural beauty, but without significant reforms, it could continue to face serious demographic and economic challenges that threaten its future. Moving on to Bulgaria, another country grappling with severe demographic decline and economic stagnation. Bulgaria is facing one of the most severe demographic crises in Europe. Its population has been shrinking for decades, and experts estimate that by 2050, Bulgaria could lose nearly 40% of its population. The country has a birth rate of just 1.56 children per woman, and like many Eastern European nations, it suffers from mass emigration, particularly among the younger and more educated segments of the population. This mass exodus is leaving Bulgaria with an aging workforce and a strained pension system. Many rural areas have become ghost towns as younger generations move to the cities or abroad. This is having a profound impact on the economy, which is already one of the weakest in the EU. Wages in Bulgaria remain some of the lowest in Europe, and many Bulgarians live in poverty or just above the poverty line. Bulgaria also faces significant corruption, particularly in its judicial system and public sector. While the country is part of the EU, it has faced criticism for failing to address corruption and for not implementing necessary reforms. These issues, combined with low wages and poor infrastructure, are making it difficult for Bulgaria to retain its younger population or attract foreign investment. Is there hope for Bulgaria, or is it destined for further decline? Let us know your thoughts below. Let's now discuss Albania, a country that has made significant strides in recent years but is still teetering on the edge. Albania has been striving to modernize its economy and institutions, but corruption, organized crime, and a lack of economic opportunities are holding the country back. Despite its picturesque landscapes and rich history, Albania is one of the poorest countries in Europe, with nearly 35% of the population living below the poverty line. Albania's public sector is riddled with corruption, making it difficult to implement the reforms needed to strengthen its economy. While the country has been trying to gain full membership in the European Union, its rampant corruption and political instability have slowed progress. On top of this, Albania, much like Romania, is experiencing a significant brain drain. Thousands of young Albanians are leaving the country each year, seeking better jobs and opportunities in Western Europe. This exodus is weakening the country's economy and social fabric, leaving Albania vulnerable to further decline. How do you think Albania can turn its situation around, or is it destined to remain on the edge of collapse? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Finally, we arrive at Serbia, a country that has faced significant challenges since the breakup of Yugoslavia, but is now facing new risks. Serbia has been battling corruption, economic stagnation, and political unrest for years. While the country has made some strides toward modernizing its economy, it is still heavily reliant on state-owned enterprises, many of which are inefficient and deeply corrupt. Unemployment remains high, especially among the youth. And like many other countries in the region, Serbia is facing a brain drain problem, with many educated young people leaving the country for better opportunities abroad. Politically, Serbia remains in a tense relationship with its neighbors, particularly Kosovo, and the country's aspirations for EU membership are complicated by these ongoing disputes. Meanwhile, rising nationalism within Serbia's political landscape is making it harder to reach peaceful resolutions. Serbia's healthcare and education systems are also suffering from years of underfunding and corruption, leaving many citizens without adequate services. Can Serbia navigate these challenges and emerge stronger, or will it continue to struggle in the face of corruption and instability? From economic crises and political instability to mass emigration and demographic collapse, several European countries are on the brink of major challenges in 2024. Whether these nations can recover or continue to decline will depend on the decisions made in the coming years. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Watch the Globe for more travel tips and hidden gems. Until next time, keep exploring and keep dreaming.